You are live. Yeah, you're live.
And we're live all the way from Hawaii. Aloha, Shawn.
I'm out here in the Aloha State planting seeds, waiting for them to grow. November the 8th, we'll be celebrating 8 years here with the Shawn Ray Pro-Am Hawaiian Classic. That is pro men's physique, pro women bikini, and all the NPCs, including the latest fit model, will be kicking off, provided you're not on college duty, or meltdown. You will be here rocking the pro division.
Well, let's hope. Yeah, we
hope
can
so.
only hope. Unfortunately, your internet connection's horrible here. Hopefully we can maintain a signal here. Shawn's coming to us all the way from Hawaii, so he's on halfway around the earth. I will be going halfway around the other way. Tomorrow, I am en route to Italy, Australia, and Turkey. Then I'll be back here with 1 week to go of prep. And then we're off, Shawn, to our 61st Olympia in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Turkey. And then I'll meet you in Vegas where you'll be rocking the mic. I saw some chatter, Bob, online where people are not the chicks are after 20 years of rocking the microphone of chatter because they don't like, I don't know, your opinion? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, apparently you can't give an opinion these days. It's a little weird, but even though, despite the fact we've been doing literally the same thing for about 25 years now, 20 of those years on the Olympia stage. It started with PBW all those years ago with our buddy Dan Solomon. We actually are the ones who opened the door to this podcast world, and then continued on with Peter McGuff, God bless him, Flex Magazine, doing play-by-play, doing the play-by-play at the Arnold for all those years. With Dan, yourself, play-by-play at the Olympia. We've done critique, Shawn. We have analyzed. We have put our picks together. We're not doing a damn thing but differently now. The only difference is that people these days are pussies.
Yeah, in full force. They're actually rallying the troops, trying to get people to sign a petition, donate to a GoFundMe page. I mean, it's really a stupid culture cancellation because you don't like their opinion.
All right, listen, bro. I got to cut you off. We got a horrible connection. So do me a favor. I'm going to remain on. Log off and call back in. Let's see if we can get Shawn with a better connection. He is in Hawaii. But that said, plenty to talk about here today, folks. During this live, I see some stuff pouring in. Okay, it's Shawn and he's actually in Hawaii right now, so he's at a hotel. But we're going to have him call back in. Fire Bob movement is a joke. This from Bipolar. They're just haters and need to move out of mom's basement. You are correct, sir. Lots of haters. It's funny because the hypocrisy is in full force as the same very people who want to get on my ass for critiquing people want to critique me. And that's interesting. Their argument being, well, you're the master of ceremonies at the Olympia. How would you like to be one of these athletes and having Bob announce you at the show? And I say to that, why would they care? Shawn, did you ever care in all your 12 years in the top 5 of the Olympia? Did you really give a crap as you were getting ready to walk out for the biggest moment of your life, what, Lonnie Teeper said or somebody else that was announcing you or some prediction that was made? Was that where your headspace was at when you were getting ready to go on the Olympia stage?
To like the NFL and boxing. An athlete on the planet that's listening to what's going on except for the right.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the players getting ready to go out for the Super Bowl, thinking to themselves, that Tom Brady, he said we probably wouldn't even make it here to the Super Bowl. He said we'd be lucky to get through the playoffs, to get past the Buffalo Bills. And how are we going to even go out and play with him now calling the play-by-play at the Super Bowl? How are we going to do it?
Yeah, in the off season. I mean, it's no more relevant than how many calories they're taking in.
Hopefully, again, that's connection's horrible, but we're going to do the best we can. But hopefully, you're catching most of this, Sean. But we did a review of Italy last week. Urs winning that, seemingly coming out of nowhere, except yours truly was the only one on the podcast. You and I were in agreement that Urs certainly could win the show, and he did. So congratulations to him. They're now off to Germany. A little bit of breaking news here. So that is going into the Lions Den. Urs is from Germany. So he is just licking his chops at trying to win in front of his hometown people. But Sergio, who took a fourth place, I believe, in Italy, was signed up to do Germany, but seemingly, from all accounts that I've heard, has decided to skip out and not do Germany now. I think, obviously, we don't know what's going on. Hopefully it's not a health thing, or, maybe he's just not too pleased with his performance there or the placings. But that's a tough one. I mean, you're already out that way. You're in Italy, en route to Germany, not that far away for travel. All the work's already been put in. Just clean it up. Maybe drop a couple of pounds to try to really get your physique where you want it, and then go in. But from what I hear, he's actually deciding to skip the show. Lost opportunity in my book. But again, until we get some further information, maybe we'll even get Sergio to respond himself. But it did bring up an interesting conversation I had with a few of the experts, if you will, in the field last week about the Masters. Now, that's been beaten into the ground for a month. We all know that story. Who should have won? Was it Clay Hart? Was it Dorian Haywood? I tell you who could have won, should have won, and kind of putting this thing out there a little bit. But so the idea, Sean, I was just getting into was, did Sergio miss a huge opportunity because he's eligible by not going in the Masters Olympia? He literally could have stepped on stage, put a title in his pocket of Olympia champ value at the Masters even, and $25,000 in his pocket. Missed opportunity?
Well, I think it comes down to a little bit of ego, probably finance as well. He doesn't probably view himself as a Masters athlete, but I predicted that this was going to be pretty much his swan song, and he got third. It was predictable that the improvements we were looking for were not going to be there, and he's got some soul searching to do.
Well, he was fourth in Italy, Sean, but he was right there. I mean, all the prep is done, right? I mean, you're literally going to go to Germany, which is a hop skip from Italy. You're already over on that side of the earth. Preparations are done. Listen, all you're going to do is clean it up for the week and go in and get yourself another paycheck, or maybe you catch, Urs off or whatever. But I also understand that Quentin also was in that show. So almost a carbon copy of a lineup. But unless it's something, again, we don't know. We're speculating. Hopefully it's something, physical or anything in that note. But why not go to Italy, to Germany?
Again, this game is as much mental as it is physical, and he struggled with both. So I'm not surprised that he didn't wind up in Germany.
Well, from Brian, grew up in Rowland Heights, California. I always hoped I would run into Sean. Both you and Bob are two of the best. Well, Sean, you're out there training at your gym with some custom Panata equipment. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, I got very lucky with Rudy designing some really good equipment and putting my stamp of approval on it at the El Cajon, the gym. And of course, it is under construction. It's expanding another 20,000 square feet later on this year. And there's other gym franchises that also are looking to get on board with the Panata gym equipment because we've had such good feedback. And come on out to the gym in San Diego, El Cajon, which is in San Diego, and also Chula Vista, and also in Pacific Beach and Vista, and in Mesa, Arizona, and out in Ontario, Victorville, and Apple Valley. The gym franchise is all over the place, and I'm trying to help get Panata all up in there.
Well, this one from Sean D. Turner. I think Sergio's time has passed.
I agree.
Got some spam calls in there. I think Sergio's time has passed for Open. He could clean up in the Masters. Sean, I know you were kind of getting back online. We got a much better connection now. Did Sergio miss, if you were running his camp, wouldn't he be the perfect candidate, like guys of that caliber that should have, would have, and could have been in that Masters Olympia? He would have cleaned house.
He should have, but again, I told you, Bob, a lot of it has to do with ego, maybe even finance. On the finance part, maybe he didn't feel like he wanted to spend the money to make the money. And on the ego side, there's a lot of athletes that are barely north of 40 that don't think they're over 40. They don't consider themselves masters, as if it might be a division that might be beneath their pay grade. But that would have been the best play. He is now a bona fide masters competitor. Shoulda, coulda, woulda been there. He probably would have done much better in that lineup than competing against these younger guys.
Well, listen, I don't think a rocket scientist you need to know he would have won the show hands down. We wouldn't have had this whole debate. Would have been a foregone conclusion. But do you think? I don't really put any stock into it, Shawn. I got to be honest. Like, I don't think the connotation of being a quote masters competitor does anything to the judges. I don't think half the lineup is probably close to 40, if not 40. That's in the open division. So I don't know. Do you think it has any impact, or do you think that's just in their own mind that they don't want to be viewed as a quote masters competitor?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this whole game is mental. It's in the minds of the athletes that they don't want to acknowledge that they actually are masters competitors. And there's some of those guys. Look, this would have looked nice for Brandon Curry. That would have been a great victory to add to his
Yep.
Open Olympia. This would have been great for William Bonek, who definitely could have won that title. It definitely would have looked great on Sergio Oliva Jr. because he would have joined his father as an Olympian title holder, because that would have been
Sure.
his. Those two guys that were over there, three guys that were over there in Japan, I don't think could have beat Sergio Jr. But in the open lineup, Sergio Jr. struggles. He's had struggles in the past, and this was a golden opportunity that he missed. And should he try to hang in there for next year, that dynamic might change, because again, the landscape of this year's Olympia, I guarantee we'll see 3, maybe even 4 guys graduate into the Masters Olympia should it come back again next year, or disappear off that stage altogether.
This one from Brian again. Bob, hope they contact you for an episode of Malcolm in the Middle reboot as I follow up to the bodybuilding episode, as a follow-up to the bodybuilding episode. Listen, Shawn, you know I actually still get residual checks from Malcolm in the Middle. It's hilarious, but some of them are so reduced. I mean, obviously this was many years ago, but you still get residuals per the SAG and all that stuff. But I'll get a check for like, $4.16. But sometimes I'll actually get a check that, because of the taxes and all that, is actually for no money. So they'll actually send me a check that's voided out. It's a check for zero.
Yeah, I mean, it's all time stamped. It's all, that's the good thing about actual SAG acting as opposed to reality TV.
Yeah.
My daughter did a reality TV, and you get paid an independent contractor fee. There's no residuals, but yet her show continues to play on Marathon on Lifetime, and she gets nothing for it. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, that there's a huge difference in that. But even though these are, and I do get other ones for other dodgeball, different things I've done. Carlos Mencia, I did a lot of commercials and stuff. Royalty is in the house. Shawn, the mayor of bodybuilding, once again, one of our good friends. When will you guys be doing an Olympia top 10 show? Shawn, do we dare go down the road of possibly excluding people from the top 10? Are you a hater?
Well, I'm the original hater, apparently, according to several other news agencies. But
weren't you just voted like most hated bodybuilder? I think you beat me out actually again.
Yes, and you can exchange the word hate for dislike, uncomfortable, truth teller, anything that has to do with facts. They don't want to hear that. But yeah, we're going to do a top 10, probably the week of the show, Mayor. We're going to address that. And like Tarek El-Gendi says, we'll see how many more haters we can get. But in the realm of reality, just because that you're not in the top 10, or maybe you're not the first or the third or the fifth, these are predictions, people. And there's a lot of things that we can predict. But when it comes to the Olympia, it's very unpredictable, unlike the 90s, in terms of who will actually make it to the stage and who will pull out right before the competition. Because we've seen people pull out of the competition the week of the show. So we don't know. We're going to put some names together and go with our best top 10, and then we're going to let the judges do their job. Those decisions are final.
So this from Donald says, hold on now. Why top 10? Why not top 100? Make sure to include everyone.
Oh my God.
What would be, I mean, even though we wouldn't bother doing this, I tell you what would have some balls is we actually do, like, let's just say there's, I don't know, 20 of them, right? We actually rank go 1 through 20. Yeah, to actually place it. But
let me tell you something about getting older, Bob, and you're coming up right behind me in December. I don't have the time. I don't have the time.
No.
I don't have the patience. I don't have the interest to find out who was 20th, 18th, 17th, or even 15th. I mean, My patience breaks at number 10. If they have to do the top 15,
Yeah.
great. But I'm not going to stick around for 16th, 17th, and 8th. I don't like that participation medal stuff.
So Mark's asked, Bob, did you do a TV show with Jason Segel? Not a show, a movie called I Love You Man with Paul Rudd, Jason Segel, bunch of other stars in there. Lou Ferrigno was in there, although we were in different scenes. We didn't shoot together, but so yes, I did. I actually get residual checks from that. Why is this dude blurry? Listen, folks, we're streaming live, and Sean's on the other side drinking drinks out of a coconut over there. But
6 hours, though, difference from you.
yes, and that's good. I know you got that precious business to take care of. Somehow you find your way to Hawaii many times throughout the year, Sean. So good for you. You're a good promoter, buddy.
I'm a workaholic, Bob. I enjoy it. Don't knock me because I enjoy my work and it happens to be in paradise.
Yeah, well, you put it in paradise. That was not my mistake. So let me get back to this, Sean. Let's talk a little bodybuilding here. So Urs Kalaczynski goes in, rightfully wins. I mean, it's a good show. But he's not a sure thing for now, even though he's going to his hometown in Germany, home country. I don't know if it's actually, if it's hometown, but let's just keep it at that. From what I understand, Quentin's going in. Sergio was going in. He's out. There's some Mark Hector, I believe, is in. So it's almost a repeat of Italy. But I still believe that right now, as good as Urs was, that Quentin actually is put together a little bit better, but he was flat in Italy. That's very fixable in 6 days.
Well, Urs is going to win in Germany, and if I was him, I'd shut it down. Because, again, I told you earlier when you said he was going to pack on a lot of weight, he was going to lose some conditioning. He does not look like the class physique guy that we knew because he's blowing up into bodybuilding. And with that comes a little bit of water retention, a little bit of fat on the back. He's not ready for prime time. So with that being said, he knows what the Olympia experience is like. I don't want to see him be a pace car on that Olympia stage because that's what he's going to be, a pace car on the racetrack. And the money that he makes in Germany and the money that he just made in Italy will be spent trying to hang on for a show that he's not really going to make an impact. Takes a year off, goes out and does something next July, next August, getting ready for the 26th Olympia. That would make more sense. Right now, if he can get two back-to-back victories, show up at the Olympia champion, and enjoy his audience and the expo and see what he's up against, because I would rather sit in that audience and watch the Open Olympia. That's the new division for him. Look at it with a fresh set of eyes as a victor. That would be more of a good game strategy. He's not ready for prime time on that Olympia platform to do anything, but he can learn. He can become a student so that in 2026, he has a full year to grow into that bodybuilding frame that he has and thicken up that back, get some more detail on it, but he won't be able to do it in time for this year's Olympia.
Sean, I'm going to agree with you on that. I'm also going to put Quentin in that same category. Even if Quentin goes in Germany and beats Urs, let's just say Urs comes in a little bit off and Quentin comes in very on, because they're that close. I mean, they've both got different features. Another bite at the apple for Quentin and another 4 weeks of dieting to the Olympia, I don't think would get the result that he's looking for. He's going to be in a burnt-out position very soon. And I agree with you also on Urs because you're right. Urs is no stranger to the Olympia stage. He's been there, the past 3 years or 4 years? So as a young bodybuilder coming up, making that big move, I got to put two in my back pocket and give a nice off season. He's in a perfect position, Sean, to make a move, grow into that big physique he's got now. And I think you might see Urs as emerge as a top 6 contender next year.
Yeah, he could pick out Pittsburgh or New York if he wants to get it out of the way a little bit earlier, but he needs that offseason to pack on the muscle and thicken up if he's going to be in the open category. He's a tall guy. I think he's a 6-footer.
Yeah, Urs is every bit of 6 or even 6'1". Go back a little bit. Okay, is this live? Of course it's live. That's what we're doing, folks. It says live right there. Donald,
Good morning.
maybe Urs takes his foot off. Maybe Urs takes his foot off the gas now when he is. Urs takes his foot off the gas now when he is already qualified. Well, he's going to do Germany. I mean, that's a given, right? But Brian, Urs looked great, but he still needs to bring up his back a little bit more to his arms. I think his ab thigh pose will look better fully crunched with air blown. Listen, this guy just did what almost nobody has done in bodybuilding history. Obviously, we didn't have different categories back then, but this guy put on 30-something pounds of quality muscle. like you said, Sean, yeah, it comes with, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, but this guy looked tremendous, man. He's a young kid still. He's what, 26, I
Yeah,
think?
he's got time. He just has to thicken it up, and he showed us what's possible. Look, that wasn't the deepest lineup, and Beast would still a work in progress. And they could very well switch places in Germany, but I don't think so. I think Urs will win. I think both of them should shut it down, come to the Olympia, be celebrities, look at the end game, and try to get back there for 2026 to make things interesting.
Says Quentin here, Quick says Quentin can dial it in and win. Absolutely. Just depends on how much gas he has. Big men don't do very well when they got to go month to month to month. That's a small man's game, not a big man's game. And Quentin's huge. Do you think Urs was too square shaped? No, I think Urs was just fine. Great to see you and Ron are on good terms. I don't always agree with what you and Mr. Ray express, but however, respect to the old school. Listen, we're all friends. Me and Ron Harris and Shawn and Ron, we all go back 35 years, folks. Here's the difference, okay? We gave Ron a little jab there about, having some balls, so to say, to speak his mind and all that. And guess what? He didn't take offense. He didn't go out there and talk about how we're bad-mouthing him or, why you ripping on Ron and all that. You know what he did? He actually thought about it and said, you know what? You guys are right. And I'm going to go put another podcast out, and I'm going to speak my mind. But that's what we all do, folks. We're able to take criticism, critique, okay? We're able to take the negative or something that somebody didn't disagree. You have the right to disagree. So Ron is part of the old school, so good for Ron. Anyway, that's a good one. Is Bob gay?
Yeah, well, I mean, Bob, here's the thing. People assume that even without you telling them. So just keep your mouth shut. Some things we don't have to hear, but like some things we just draw our own conclusions based on appearance. Look, I put on mascara and I became gay. I don't know how that happened. I mean, that's Hollywood for you.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but let's see. That's a good one.
What's the old adage, Bob? Some of my best friends are gay. I mean, Bob Paris and Chris Dickerson. I mean, they were notoriously out, but it doesn't rub off.
Let's see. I definitely think it could go either way for Germany. This thing's all over that place. Definitely think it could go either way for Germany. Pretty close, but Quentin's a bit sharp. Yeah, Quentin looked very good in Italy, but he was a little bit flat. I was watching some play-by-play, Shawn, from somebody. I honestly don't even know who it was, but it's funny. In real time, they're going nuts when Quentin comes out. Man, wow, he's great. He's ripped. He's shredded. He's the best Quentin we've ever seen. And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, this guy's flatter than flat. Like, he's not gonna win this show. But this is the problem when you have people. Listen, people, pick your choose your people wisely. When you get play-by-play or somebody giving an opinion. Just because everybody has an opinion does not mean they're experts, folks.
No, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, you can have your family member do a podcast, your trainer. Anybody can weigh in. Nobody's opinion's more important than the next. But if you're looking for wisdom, go with the guys that know what the hell they're looking at, what they're talking about.
All right. So from Paul, I was gutted for Quentin. He looked amazing in the Italian show. I thought he deserved to win. I do hope he punches his ticket for this year's Mr. O in Germany. I'm going to go with Shawn on this one. Even if Quentin wins Germany, listen, folks. Trust me on this one, okay? If you're a 6 foot, he's 6'2", okay? He's a big guy, and he has been going for months now. This is what, his third show or fourth show, Shawn? This will be.
Yeah.
Big men cannot go 4, 5, 6 months and retain. He'll end up looking like a swizzle stick. Don't forget. He's got to go another 4 weeks after this, coming back to America to then go all the way to Vegas and try to prep for an Olympia. Even if he wins, it's not worth it. You know what I would do? Take whatever you get, whether it's a win or a loss, stick it in your back pocket, and immediately go to the buffet and get on your off-season protocol. One more off-season for Quentin, and he's going to be winning more shows than he's losing next year, in my opinion, Shawn.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, what we experienced in the 90s with Ronnie Coleman, for example, we watched that metamorphosis, and he competed a lot for a big guy, but he was also a world-class power lifter. And he didn't dial in every single time for those shows. He just used them as yardsticks and measurements just to just to get the experience. Ronnie lost more shows than he won, and he's one of the
Yep.
winningest bodybuilders of his career. But it took him a lot longer, and he was a lot older. Ronnie, I think, didn't even hit his stride till he was 40 years old.
Yep.
But the Beastwood, Urs, we know from experience, more is not better for these guys. Now is the time after this weekend to shut it down and watch these cats. That's not us crapping on the Olympia. I don't want to discourage everyone from going because they can't win. There's some valuable experience to learn, but it's hard to learn as you're a little bit older. If you're like 22, 23, like I was, it's easy to learn those lessons because you have a long time ahead of you. But when you're getting closer to your 30s, the Olympia stage is not where you want to learn. You want to sit in the audience and watch and then eat and then grow. And then that'll light the fire underneath you to get up there. They need time off, these big guys.
All right, Shawn. Reginald wants to know who your Raiders losing to this weekend, Shawn.
I'll be there. All right. Well, we'll find out Monday night. They are playing a very good team in the Los Angeles Chargers. I'll give the Chargers credit. They got a really good team this year.
They do.
We don't.
And
But after one game, you can't tell who's what. Right now, your Buffalo Bills look like Super Bowl champions, right?
yeah, how about that game, huh? How about that? Shawn, you still got that Lamborghini Diablo?
Yeah, before that Lamborghini would be almost 40 years old. The only thing that I got that's old is my Arnold Classic trophy from '91.
Right? This is up here. Two legends right here. Thank you. Canadian, eat your heart out, Palumbo. Come on, give Dave a break. Did you see Dave in the ice bath? You see that video, bro?
I saw him with his shirt off, and it wasn't a good thing to look at.
No, I mean,
at some point, you got to keep the shirt on.
Bro, the chances of me, I can't take a cold shower, let alone an ice bath. Like, that ain't happening. But let's just be happy he bathes at all. Raiders. Yeah, we got a bunch of comedians on there, eh? So, also, Discord is a failed bodybuilder. He needs to start drama to be relevant. He has had feuds with lots of people like Bob Fuad, the latter's wife, Samson. Listen, Mr. Potato Head is Mr. Potato Head. He's not first of all, calling him a bodybuilder is even, kind of splitting hairs. Although he does like to call himself two-time Mr. Canada, and he didn't actually even win either of those titles. You got to win the overall, by the way, out there, people. To call yourself a Mr. Anything, okay? You can't just win your class. You're not a Mr. something. Somebody beat you. And just to keep things that we're not completely on Mr. Potato Head's ass all the time, me and Shawn routinely call out Olympians. Like, if you won the men's physique Olympia, you're not Mr. Olympia. If you won the classic physique Olympia, Chris Bumstead has won the Mr. Olympia approximately how many times, Shawn?
I think it was six times.
No. How many times did he win the Mr. Olympia?
Oh, he won the Mr. Olympia 0 times.
Bingo.
Mr. Olympia. Right.
Yes. Love you, Chris. Great champion. But zero Mr. Olympia is a very specific title. Mr. titles are earned and they should be respected. We consider that stolen valor, Shawn.
Yeah, well, what I told you was I believe next year we're going to have a new and different Mr. Olympia based on the announcement that Keon Pearson put out, which kind of rocked the social media airwaves as if it was happening this year. I don't think he's going to see the open category this year. I do believe he's going to three-peat as the 212 champion, and he's going to follow in the footsteps of Derek Lunsford to become our next Mr. Olympia in 2026. That's my prediction.
All right, there's a couple of good of these. Hang on, we're scrolling back here. Does Quinn have a hernia in the stomach? I think he does have a small hernia. Now Urs has made the successful jump. Which classic competitor?
There's too many comments coming.
I know we got a lot of comments coming in, bro. Hang on. Every time it comes in, it flips it and I lose it. Which classic competitor, Urs aside, has the most potential to make a major impact in the open? Who in the classic you think could go and open and do something?
Well,
like
again,
Ramon Dino or Logan Franklin or who else? You know who I think could go there is Matt Grego.
Yeah, there's a few guys, and that's what I loved about the classic physique division. I was hoping that classic physique division was going to be one that changed every year, kind of like the women's wellness division, because there's so many different talents out there that I don't think that one look should represent that division. I'm really glad to see that Bumstead has moved on, kept his title, and left that door open. So I'm going to let the judges choose. I mean, it's their job to choose. There's so many good classic physique guys. I'm going to see if they go with stay with the tall guys, or come back down to a Terrence Ruffin like.
So somebody's looking for an update on Beirus. I've heard nothing. I did hear, I don't know if it's confirmed, that Hadi was good to go. That's great news. I have heard nothing new on Beirus. We're hoping to God he can get here. I just can't imagine the mental strength that you need to prep for your third Olympia, and he has yet to cross the Great Barrier Reef here to get over here.
Is there a show after the Olympia? Is that Evo's Prague show still going on after?
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem, right? He can win these shows all day long over there.
But he doesn't. But he doesn't. Hold on a second. That's where I'm going, Bob.
Right.
He has options. He has options. If he's training with the Olympia, knowing there's a chance that it's not coming, you got to have plan B. So if you can't get to Las Vegas, you got to find your way out of the country over to Prague or wherever there's another show. And he's never done that. So this would be the time to put in the work. And if it doesn't happen, go see if he can win those other shows. Remember, he's been beating guys that are not at the top of the food chain at the Olympia. When he won the Dubai Pro this year, he didn't beat a top 3 guy. When he won it last year, he didn't beat a top 3 guy. I want to see him go and win some of these other contests if he can't get to the Olympia. What do? You train for the Olympia. You can't come to the Olympia. So then you go and eat and just call it a day? Where he has to have a strong plan B. I know he respects Milo Sarchev. They need to figure that out.
All right. Somebody wants to know a comparison, Shawn. Compare Mike Sommerfeld against Keon Pearson. That's a good one.
It's a good one, but it's a non-starter. That's not something that's going to happen.
No, they're in 2 different divisions right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's like talking about our wellness girl and our bikini girl. It's that, why make that comparison? I don't even have the energy to make that comparison. They're both very good.
Overall, those are
very different.
Those are 2 great bodybuilders right there. So
you're kind of going back to Fitzwater and C-Bum.
Right.
We thought materialized on the stage, and I actually thought C-Bum won that competition. But we're talking too hypothetical. I don't want to go there.
All right, Shawn. Here you go. This is perfect for you. Have you guys ever been confronted by a coach or a fan or anybody like that over your assessment of them, your analysis of them? Has it been a civil experience, or does it get ugly? Your takes always seem reasonable. So, did anybody ever you've had this confronted dozens of times over the years?
Sure, not by competitors. Chad Nichols' son wanted to hit me at 19, 20 years old. He's like a big monster. I was about to get knocked out because he didn't like me. He told me, keep my dad's name out of your mouth. That wasn't the guy I was critiquing. However, on the bodybuilding stage, no, none of the athletes themselves have come a step to me based on my critique of them, but they've talked a lot of shit behind my back. And at the end of the day, I've had guys like Craig Titus didn't like what I had to say, but then he used what I had to say to get better. And then he gave me the credit off stage, behind the lights, behind the cameras, without making public apologies. Listen, I don't make a habit out of tearing guys down. I speak about what I see. Doesn't always sound good, but hopefully they can use that to go back and fix things that are wrong with them. But very rarely do they have the humility to come back and say, thank you, I took your consideration and your critique, and I fixed it.
You know what I almost never see is anybody coming up saying, hey, man, I heard those nice things you said about me, even though we routinely give credit where it's due. We give compliments when they're warranted, and we give critique. But you never see the headlines with anything but negative, which kind of gets old after a while. Did Mike Sommerfeld versus Keon? A lot of people ask. Matt Grego was underrated. Absolutely, I think Matt's right where he should be right now. I think that kid could do an ERS over the next couple of years. He's got real good physique. What do we got? Matt Grego's underrated. Yes, he's not underrated. I think he's right where he is right now. Mike is the most complete guy in classic. Let me tell you something. If I was a betting man right now, Mike Sommerfeld for the win. Mike Sommerfeld last year against C-Bum, you could have made an argument there. I think if C-Bum wasn't C-Bum, if C-Bum's name was Joe Smith, and they were in that show last year, I got to be honest, I think Sommerfeld might have beaten him.
I agree, and sometimes that's why I fall out of like with bodybuilding, because when you can do something that should be done, it doesn't happen. So there's always having to knock the champion out. I don't like that knockout shit. If someone's better, they're better, and just give them the title. Doesn't matter how the the legacy or whatever. Give the guy his props. So now he had to wait a year. Hopefully he can replicate that and get his flowers.
Something on the ladies from Doug. Bob, what happened to bikini champion Jen Dory? Is she officially retired for good? Before I get to that, I see Francielle Matos is pulled out of the Olympia. I didn't see exactly why, but hope everything's well with her. 3-time and our first ever wellness champ. Jen Dory, I don't know. I see Jen. She seems good, healthy. Her and Mark still doing their thing together. I don't know whether she's ever announced a retirement or maybe she's just moved on to other ventures. But yeah, she kind of disappeared out of there. Listen, every dog has their day. I mean, she got the Olympia title, and maybe she just decided. But I've never seen anything official from Jen Dory, though.
No, and if they want to know, they could send her a DM. Most of these athletes don't make announcements that they're retiring. They just take a year off. It becomes 2 years, 3 years, and they just wind up not coming back for the majority of them.
Sure. Let's see. Somebody talking about down under. Somebody said it's a long trip to Australia. You've been to Australia, haven't you, Shawn?
I won the Junior World back in 1985, Bob, right after I beat you at the Teenage Nationals.
Oh, politics. Politics.
You know why I say that? You know why I said it that way, Bob?
Why?
Because this is Frank Zane's favorite story of all time. 3-time Mr. Olympia, 1977, 78, 79. He says Arnold Schwarzenegger was interviewing him, and Arnold tried to take a dig at him, like something like, you 3-time Mr. Olympia. Does anything feel any better than becoming that? And Frank Zane says, yeah, Arnold, it feels almost as good as when I beat you for the Mr. Universe title. So he brought the air out of Arnold's sail. I love that.
Well, allegedly, and I know that story, that was the impetus. Arnold kind of put that in his back pocket. That was the impetus for him to come back in 1980 and said, oh, okay, I guess we'll see about that, won't we? And we all know what happened after that. Thoughts on Logan Franklin? Thanks on Logan Franklin from the Olympia, from the mayor. Logan Franklin, can he win the Olympia, Shawn?
Yeah, right. I'm waiting on your comeback after that remark I made. Logan, he's had all the tools. He's always had the tools, and he's always been very close. Remember, he did miss an Olympia one year. It's a lot of prep. After he qualified by winning the Hawaiian Classic, he went out there and he couldn't make it out of his dressing room. But if he gets everything right, he does everything right. So you can never count Logan Franklin out. He's very Arnold Schwarzenegger-esque, very popular with the fans, very polished with his presentation. That's up to him because he's a legitimate threat for that title, but he's just got to make it out of the starting gates. So
big shout out to Johnny Apple. Johnny Apple donated to the cause here, so that's cool. Shawn, you were a fucking legend. I've watched your career and still think you should have won one of those Olympias. Agree. Bob, we love you as the MC spanning all these years. Keep the commentary going also. Thoughts on Sergio post-show. So he must have missed it. Well, appreciate the compliments, buddy. We love you fans that support us all the time. God bless you guys. Sergio, we kind of addressed already. Where do you think Sergio goes from here, bro? Let's assume he is healthy and there was no issues. Let's just say he says, you know what, I'm not into it. I don't like where I am. He's 40 or 41, I believe, this year. Where does Sergio go from here in the future? Does he continue? Does he set his sight in the Masters, or does he just shut it down?
I shut it down. There's other components to this, not just the depression that comes with losing, not having the right answers, not figuring out the right formula, the right coaches. Remember, this is a cat that's moved all over the place trying to find the right formula. He went out there to Marbella, trained with the great Dorian Yates. That didn't turn out properly. He moved out to, I think he lived in Dubai for a hot minute, moved out to, I think he was in Chicago or Florida or California. And now I believe he's out in Las Vegas, and you're running out of time. The clock is ticking. It's getting harder and harder. He's not going in the right direction. And the body, for what it's worth, he's had a lot of time off. This is a guy he's been able to rest. So it's not about rest. But I think some people have it or they don't. Like that window, it's closing, and it's closing even more the older you get, because what happens is you get into survival mode and you battle these injuries. I know he had a couple of injuries too. And when you get injured, it's hard to come back and be carefree and train hungry like you are in your 30s. And you get more conservative and you start rationalizing things that you will and you will not do in order to get that victory. And I think Father Time is undefeated, and I don't know that he's getting better as he ages. So we know that the Masters Olympia is every 2 years. But if I was him, the Masters would be something. I just don't know that he's got another year to take off and
All
then
right.
redo it at 42, 43 years old. I think that window's closed.
Sean, Walt wants to know, is Martin Fitzwater going to the Olympia? He was fourth last year. I'd certainly hope he was going to the Olympia, but let me tell you how good Martin Fitzwater is. I firmly believe in my heart of hearts, if Fitzwater showed up in Pittsburgh as good as he was at last year's Olympia, he'd have beaten Derek and Nick and had some bragging rights going into the Olympia this year. Unfortunately, he put on some size, exactly what you were saying earlier, Sean, in reference to an ERS. And that size didn't translate on stage. He just came in too big, didn't have the lines, and ended up on the outside looking in. But Fitzwater is a very complete physique, and he'll be battling in that top 5 again this year.
Yeah, getting in the top 4 is an accomplishment, but we've also witnessed that it can be a curse. It never panned out for Hunter Labrada after he broke into that top 4. His father, I believe, got a few of those 4th place finishes in his career, but it's hard once you've gotten there to get back because you're trying to figure it all out. So he has the potential to get back up in there. The top 3 is a tough one to get into, but he's still young, so it's too early to tell with him. And I believe that was his 2nd Olympia, if I'm not mistaken. So let's give the guy a chance.
So apparently we got a tip jar in here. I didn't even know you could do this, but you can actually send us money on this thing. So this is complete news to me, but it will work for tips. Raw results says Sean is the man. I mean, hey, we appreciate you throwing a couple bucks in there. Like I said, we didn't really have I didn't have any idea you could do like a kind of a GoFundMe tip jar here, Sean. But
I want to give you some advice. There's some things you don't know, Bob, but like the tips are for me actually. You make me look good. You make me sound smart. You make me look beautiful. So let's keep it rolling.
All right, this says it go up a little bit. This guy says I'm too tight. Hang on a second here now. Hang on. Bob is tight after getting playfully digged by Shawn. Loosen up that back hole, Shawn. Start taking as much as you give. We've been battling. Did you ever see Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence? That's me and Shawn. Okay, listen, he's been digging at me for 40 years that he beat me at the teen nationals, which I still think was rigged. But listen, bro, loosen up that back hole, Bob. I'm as loose as they come. What's up, Shawn and Bob from D. Mayor? Biggest mistake guys making the last week of prep. Oh boy, this is a doozy, Shawn.
Well, if you're going to hand it off to me, I've had guys, Bob, while I'm wearing a suit and tie, come up to me for some 11th hour information that they think I'm going to just throw out into their universe. Most of these guys, I would say all of these guys are paying coaches to help them. And then they come to me for free advice. It doesn't work like that. I will tell you that a lot of guys in this industry second guess themselves. They second guess the process, searching for answers all the way up to the 24th hour before they get on the stage. This is not an exact science. And what I was able to do on my journey through the 12 years, I trusted the process. I trusted my ability to block out what other people thought I should do for me. I was an information seeker. Mind you, I read magazines, I read books, I watched videos, I talked to athletes, I did my trial and error on the run up to preparation. What I didn't do was arrive in Las Vegas or Atlanta or Helsinki or Chicago or Long Beach. I didn't arrive there and start asking other people questions about what I'm about to do. I've been doing this since January till September. I trusted the process. I didn't second guess, hey, take a look at me. Am I holding too much water? That is not the time in the last minute to start asking other people what their opinion is and abandon your coach or abandon the process and then think that there's going to be a magical formula. In today's economy, a lot of bodybuilders will show up the week of the show, even immediately following the athlete's meeting, and come up to me and say, can you take a look at me? I want to know what you think. Should I do this? And should I do that? They start second guessing everything that they've been doing. And I'm of the mature opinion that I don't have an opinion at that point. It's up to the judges. It's not up to me. There's nothing I can do for you. I'm not on the payroll. Don't ask. You got to go out there on your own. There's a lot of very thin-skinned athletes that do not trust their opinion or trust their coaches. And I don't want to put my fingerprints on that.
So I'm just going to keep it short because you pretty much said it all. But here, you want a good tip, people? Stop calling it peak week. Okay, right there is your main problem. I remember Shawn, of all people. You didn't have a peak week. You just kind of you did it like landing a plane. You
Yes.
brought it in nice and easy down the middle, but there was no big highs, there was no big carb ups, there was no big drops in anything or any. If you've got a 12 or 14 week prep, the whole idea is by the time you get there, is you're landing that plane right into the week of the show. All these wacky, weird things you hear, putting foods in that you haven't eaten in 3 or 4 months is not
Right.
a good idea when you're at the week of the show.
Well, yeah,
Hang
Bob,
on,
I want to touch on that point, Bob, because you'll see
shoot.
people backstage eating rice cakes, right?
Yeah.
Eating jelly, drinking whiskey, and all these things
Right.
that they didn't do all the way to the show, and they think in the last minute this stuff is going to change their it's just not. It's voodoo science.
Yeah.
It's voodoo science. Stay with what got you there. I'm usually ready 2 weeks before the show.
By the way, here's the tip of the day, folks, on the final explanation point of what Shawn just said. When you're taking in the rice cakes and the honey and the jelly and everything he just mentioned, your water's cut off. It can't go anywhere. That's why you see the guy go out there with the big high Captain Kirk stomach. Okay, all that food's right here because the water is the transport system. So do not do any of those things. Shawn, this is a question for you.
Right here.
Oh, there it is. From I think he's from Mexico, so big shout out to our Mexican peeps. Does Ray think Lee is racist? I'm assuming he means Lee Priest. He sure does seem that way. He talks about race and problems with people of color on every podcast. I never know Lee Priest to be a racist, bro. You?
No, but I mean, he walks the thin line and placates to people that think he's a racist. So, the old adage, my best friend is black. He said that a million times. Had a black roommate. I think he dated a black girl.
Right.
I think perception for a lot of people becomes reality. A lot of people thought that I didn't like Shawn Rhoden for some reason, and I'm the one that interviewed him when he won his pro card. I got him his very first contract. I got his first contract with Generate. He stayed at my house. We were friends. When his untimely passing came, I spoke very negatively of where was his friends. This didn't have to happen. I was very adamant, and I was more pissed off about it. But people thought I didn't like the guy. Perception is not necessarily reality when people speak on a topic that might be sensitive. I don't think Lee's a racist. I think sometimes he's an idiot, but I like that. He makes me look smart, so I keep him around.
I think he thinks he's an idiot sometimes, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Martin and Quinn will hit their prime soon, and no doubt from Mark. Yes, agreed. Biggest mistakes. We just covered that one. Lee is not racist. WTF. Can Quint Beastwood punch his ticket this time? Yes, he can. What's this one up here? Real question. What is making stellar underclass guys moving up to the open class? Is it the massive cash prizes, or are they then the current crop of open guys who are actually now beatable? No, listen, folks, this is part of the game and part of the process, okay? We don't lock the doors from the outside. We don't make it that, like, if you're in Classic, that you can't move to any other division. Logan Franklin started his career as a men's physique competitor. Now he's on the top of the list. Could put an Olympia title in his pocket in a whole different division. Listen, Derek Lunsford, obviously 212 to Olympia champion. We have many athletes who have moved up and moved on. Keon now going to the open, and of course, of recent. This is made to get in the league, and you can keep making progress if that's where your physique goes. Now, let me follow up with this, Shawn. Speaking of Lee Priest, he doesn't think we should have any other divisions, just open. Let me tell you what a mistake that would be. Go ask Flex Lewis if he enjoyed his 212 7 Olympia run, or a guy, Sister Nino, a guy who made a career in a 212, or if there was just open, you never even would have heard of him. Guys have made a living from other divisions. Not everybody has what it takes. Certainly, Shawn, you were there. We didn't have any choice. But you and Lee Priest and some of these guys, listen, you had the genetic structure and the wherewithal to compete against bigger guys. Very few people are in that category. We absolutely need different categories.
Yeah, it's great to have options and choices and growth and inclusion. So the numbers don't lie when you go to a men's bodybuilding show, and the men's physique is stacked. Bodybuilding numbers are paltry. But of course, some of these bodybuilders that are in the 212 division, they have to suck down, and it becomes painful. and they're stopping their growth, and eventually they outgrow. Derek Lunsford is nowhere near 212 when he competes in Mr. Olympia, and he was able to successfully win that title. Keon Pearson is wearing out his welcome in the 212 because his body is growing. Shawn Clarida can be a 212 forever because of his height limitations. He will never be over the 212 in shape division because he's so light and so small. But yeah, graduating out of that is no crime. You got to. It's not even a financial one. Although I definitely would have never pigeonholed myself in 212 because I wanted to be the best
Right.
in the world, and well, I'm glad I didn't have that option because I didn't want to be labeled as a smaller bodybuilder.
Well, you should have had one Sandow, but that's here nor there. Here we go. The Shawn Ray of American Idol on in the background. He should have Bob's YouTube channel on instead. No support for Bob. Unbelievable. He's joking.
I'm in a hotel
Okay,
room.
all right, we got you. Juiced up. Juiced up. I like it already. Where'd he go? Disappeared. Juiced up 720. Will there be more pieces added to the fantastic Panata line? Let me tell you guys something. If you're anywhere that we have the Fantastic line was the very first line of equipment that Rudy Panata made almost 50 years ago. And it was very Nautilus inspired. Arthur Jones, a guy he looked up to and learned a lot from. So Rudy decided this year to put a anniversary limited edition of the Fantastic line out. Let me tell you, folks, this thing is spectacular. We actually pulled out the great Lee Haney, 8-time himself to represent the line, a legend representing a legendary line. This stuff is state of the art, but it is big and it is bold. Yes, he is going to add another 3 or 4 pieces, so there'll probably be 8 or 10 pieces total, but I think it's a limited run. So if you can get your hands on one of these, folks, do so. It's the best stuff in the biz.
Absolutely.
Oh, what was that one there? The only reason, Bob, were you ever about to announce a class winner that was so shocking, such an incredible upset that you paused to check the results with the judges? Great question, Doug. Listen, it was just a couple of years ago. They actually gave me the wrong winner in fitness, and I did a Steve Harvey out there because there was a switch, but it was actually in a different division. So I can't say that there's anything that shocking. I mean, I can usually see. I'm closer than the judges are. Shawn's been up there many times, so you can see a whole lot. Even though we don't have the best vantage point, they make turns to all corners, so you get a good look. I haven't been that shocked with anybody. I was pleasantly shocked to see like when Jay Cutler, our first year on the podium together, Shawn, in 2006, beat the great Ronnie Coleman. I mean, I guess that would be shocking, but I mean, it was kind of due at that point.
Yeah, and again, in the Dexter Jackson announcement over Jay Cutler, I mean, there's some surprises because I was jaded. I just never thought the judges would actually do the right thing because I witnessed so many gimmies in bigger situations. So it's good to see the right thing happen when it does. I don't know that it's surprising, especially when you think that it's appropriate.
Have you seen the Russian guy, Andrei Smeyev? Would he do well in open? I'm not familiar with who he is. You know an Andrei Smeyev?
No.
Shawn's right about Keon going to conquer the open soon. I think Keon is a definite. He's come out and said he's going to go in a show right after the Olympia in the open. He's going to do a Bumstead, and
he has to qualify. He has to qualify to go in the Open Pro, the same way that Clarida did. Clarida went and won the Reno Pro, and then he went to the Arnold Classic. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense for him to do it while he's in shape because I believe if he goes in the Open competition this year, that he would be a legitimate threat. But I think he'll be better with a year training under his belt without having to restrict his weight.
Keon's got a tremendous physique. He just looks like a big hand squeezed him in the middle. He's got beautiful lines. Here we go, Shawn. Here's one where me and Shawn are actually on the Siskel and Ebert, different sides. What was your take on Magazine Dreams and what class could Jonathan Major actually compete at on a real bodybuilding stage? Okay, first is first. Jonathan Majors could not compete at any level at a bodybuilding stage. He's an actor.
I agree.
You can see in the movie he's an actor. Okay, he's not a pro bodybuilder by any stretch. I was not a big fan of the movie. I thought it was very cliche. Obviously, I didn't like the turn at the end there. It's just too much wives' tale type things where the good guy, of course, is batting on the other team. It was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. Shawn?
Well, I say it was great. I think that what's our lead at? Jonathan Majors. I think he should be nominated for an award. I think it. I recognize his character in about 10 or 15 people that I know personally. Throughout the film, he was taking on the persona of exactly what a lot of our athletes go through, exactly a lot of our athletes are, and the things that happen within our industry. So I didn't think it was a negative. I thought it was a look in the mirror, and I thought that if you were been in this business long enough, that you recognized a few of the characters in the movie, including the girlfriend. I recognize a lot of women that have to deal with boyfriends that are in this industry that are totally freaking delusional, and they try to keep it together. Some of them stay too long and they get caught up like Kelly Ryan with the wrong guy. And then by putting that up there, that movie, it definitely gives people a reason to pause. No, we're not all cut from the same cloth, but a lot of us go on that same journey, and we have to recognize the signs. Had the girlfriend recognized some of the signs early, she would have probably moved out and got away from him way earlier. But this is a guy, didn't have the real family support, didn't really have the friend support, was delusional thinking he's going to be Mr. Olympia, win at all cost mentality, get on that stage with all cost. And some of our athletes, we know them, they've lost their lives with that same mentality. I think it was a phenomenal film. I think it was a study of what can happen, but can be prevented as an athlete if you pay close enough attention to the characters.
All right, from Locks and Box, Shawn and Bob, what was your personal best contest appearance on stage? Not necessarily your placing. Great question. I got mine split in half. The USA, clearly, where I won my pro card after 100 years. I was in great shape and kicked ass and finally got it. And the 2002 Night of the Champions, where Beauty and the Beast unfolded on stage, and it was the German giant Marcus Rule that ended up taking home top honor, Shawn. But hotly debated to this time. I'm huge in Germany, bro.
Yeah, I know. And that was, you had a great run, man. And for me, it's a little differently because I remember and I feel that I was at my physical best in 99. I wound up in 5th place. But after that show, I felt like I could have ran a marathon. I could have done the splits. I could have
really?
swam in the swimming pool. Could have done laps. I was so athletic, so fresh.
What was your
Looked,
best physique though? Forget about. I mean, I know you felt good after it. What was if you had to line up all the Shawn Rays out of all the years, and you competed against yourself? Who wins?
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm on record as saying 94. The synchronicity of my maturity and the
I agree.
positivity in terms of when the results came in, and I'm listening to all the people and the talking heads, looking at the pictures. I mean, all of that stuff had to make sense for me to believe I could have won that show, because you always doubt yourself until you hear from the right people, the right pundits, people that you respect and admire. I heard enough good things about the way I looked and presented myself that I should have won. But in terms of how I felt,
Right.
99, I was on cloud 9 in 99. I got 5th place that year.
So this guy Jay says I'm not that popular in Germany. I would disagree, sir. And for anybody that was out there, me and Marcus Rule. First of all, I had security actually bring me through the expo because people were just everywhere. But me and Marcus, as a tag team, Shawn, had almost 2,000 people waiting in line to get pictures with us both. Now, I know Marcus is the son and all that stuff, but I disagree, Jay. Like I say, bigger than Hasselhoff, just slightly under Marcus Rule himself.
I was there. I was there. You're right. You're the big kraut. You're the schnitzel.
Come on, man. What about Mike O'Tren? Talking about Mike O'Hearn, our good buddy. Listen, you know what? Good for Mike. He's taking roles still. The guy's in fantastic shape. You know, the old O'Tren thing. Listen, folks, who gives a shit? Like, honestly, like people speculate all the time. Oh, he's not natural. He says he's natural. I don't care whether he's natural or not natural. The guy stays in great shape. He's just behind us, son. He's what, 50, mid-50s? 54, 55?
Yeah, but people keep talking about the guy because he keeps looking phenomenal. I can't knock him. He's got a great physique, and he's capitalizing on everything that he's done.
All right, now this is my kind of fan. Cal Yan, he was on last time. In my humble opinion, Bob deserved the Night of the Champions title in 2002. He looked well balanced and well conditioned. Well, all I can say is this, bro. Of course, the best version ever of Marcus Rule in any show in his pro career was at that show, and he was an absolute monster. So you know what? If you got to lose to somebody, Now, was I much prettier than Marcus? Yeah, that's not even to be debated, of course. No, I'm delusional. David is well known. Who's David? You were oh Hasselhoff. You were just an average bodybuilder.
The memory's the first thing to go, Bob.
Yeah, it is. Favorite Joe Weider memory. There you go, Shawn. So I caught Joe more towards the end, obviously not turning pro until 2000, but you actually grew up with Joe just out of your teenage days. So your favorite Joe Weider memory, bro?
Well, we caught it on film. Me, Bob Gardner. Bob Gardner was a photographer. Joe was literally whispering in my ear, basically like literally passing the torch to me, saying like I was the it guy. I was the new shiny little toy, and we were gonna ride that wave together. And I kind of felt like, I don't know, maybe like one of those UFC fighters when you have Dana White and the Fertitta brothers, telling Tito Ortiz or Chuck Liddell, hey, we're going to ride that wave with you. Joe Weider had a lot of confidence in me because of my education, because of my ability to market, my responsiveness to the articles and the interviews, my punctuality, my hunger and my thirst to be something that I, at my height and my weight, might not have seemed real probable. I was the new like Lee Labrada, right? I was the new Chris Dickerson. And he saw that in me. And he really appreciates the guys that checked in on him. Like I would call the office just to check in. I would drive the hour drive to Woodland Hills
Sure.
to have lunch. Now I wasn't his favorite son because I was saying a lot of things to him that, that would affect the industry, and I felt I was underpaid, like most of us did. But he got the maximum output from me, and in hindsight, I got the maximum input from him because I wound up the number one cover guy on Flex Magazine, slew of articles in Muscle and Fitness. I was one of the premier African American, if you want to put a label on me, cover guys on Muscle and Fitness. That hadn't happened. I think Robbie Robinson and Lee Haney were the only two black guys in our industry that had been on the cover of Muscle and Fitness. When I think about that for a minute, and yet there I was racking up the cover shots. I was breaking barriers, and he was allowing me to do it. I don't feel like Joe saw color, but I wasn't his favorite son, but he never muzzled me. He loved that yin and the yang, that I was a spicy young bodybuilder with lots of opinions, and he would throw Julian Schmidt and Peter McGough and Bill Reynolds. I don't know, remember Bill Reynolds back in the day?
Oh, yeah, sure do.
John Little. He threw me all of his best writers, and he threw me all of his best photographers. And I could appreciate that because I was a student of who they were before I ever actually met them. And he allowed me to work alongside him.
Well, here's another vote for you for 94 Olympia champ. Will Bob sing? I'm more of a Pavarotti guy, bro. Hasselhoff ain't got nothing on me in the vocals either, but I would definitely be doing some Pavarotti. Does Shawn still surf? Let me tell you, black guys don't swim or surf, bro, and they don't like water in any way, shape, or form, even frozen. That's why you don't see black hockey players, bro.
So you got Lee Priest beat. You're the actual racist. You are the racist. You realize I was on my diving team in high school? Do you realize that I was in Muscle and Fitness in the swimsuit edition? I was actually on the dating game during beach week. I can swim. I'll challenge you to a water event anytime you're ready.
You were in a bathing suit because of your physique, and you sank like a rock. Come on now.
I'm gonna send you the diving photo at Ocho Rios in Jamaica where I dove off the cliff.
All right. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up, Shawn. We got, don't get him started on karaoke. Do you recall a bodybuilder that played the best contest? Mind games. Who was a last question here from Doug? He's been a regular for us here today. We appreciate you, Doug. Who played the most mind games, Shawn, in your day? Who was one of those guys other than yourself? Because I know you were getting in everybody's head back then. Give me somebody else, not yourself, that you thought was a kind of a mastermind of the game.
I mean, it was Arnold before me, but during my time.
What about Lee Haney, bro? Wasn't he kind of given, like, call Lee the Flea and Rich the Itch and that type of thing? And
those were his friends, and that's where it stopped. Lee was the perfect gentleman. Yeah. He was the grandfather before the grandfather. Lee didn't play games. Lee was all business, and I got at the tail end of all of that. But we didn't have guys that were mentally savvy enough to actually play games. They were all about business, but most of the guys I felt were weak-minded and very vulnerable, and I placated to that. Flex Wheeler with his calf sit scenario, Kevin Lavroni with the orange, Chris Cormier with me not picking him up to take him to the gym. I was messing with all of those cats, and I don't think any of them were trying to play mind games. They were all about trying to get the money.
All right, that from Shawn Ray, the Mark Spitz of the bodybuilding world. Shawn, that's going to close it up. My daughter is actually home from college, so we're going to take her out for a little bit of meal because I'm out tomorrow overseas. We're going to try to do a VOB when I'm overseas. Actually, we're both going to be in Turkey, so maybe that's the best solution there. If we can come live from Turkey, guys, we'll do it. That's a huge expo out there. We'll both be there representing Panata, the Ferrari of the fitness industry, the best equipment that you've ever gotten your hands on. So, Shawn, appreciate another live, buddy. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you want to get out on that surfboard out there in Hawaii, so.
Time for my ties, Bob. Got to go to work.
Don't. All right, for Sugar Shawn, I'm Bob Chick. Yo, we out of here.